What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. You ain't black.
And you ain't black.
You ain't black.
All right, what are we talking about today to start it off? Oh, more importantly, we got to get well over to the President of the United States and his COVID diagnosis. Yeah. Well wishes here from the guys here in You Ain't Black. Anybody want to say some words?
Yes.
Yeah, the whole country is behind you. We are here. We have your back. And get well.
Yes,
get
sir.
well.
Now, I know he's going to come back. He's going to bounce back better than ever.
I know.
Yes,
he's going to come back, and it's going to be epic.
That's,
but
I
continue to pray for the president.
That's right.
And you know what? He strikes me as a person who takes care of himself. The fact that he can be on the campaign the way he has. I think he has a strong immune system.
Let's
go.
And like they say, this too shall pass.
Yeah. My mom used to always say that. I'd be like, I don't get it. I'd be mad. I used to be mad at her all the time. No, but it's great. And I think this is going to be a beautiful thing to see because now, instead of them saying, well, this is the only people you want to listen to, he's going to get through it. And who else do you trust?
I like that point because I actually thought about this, that it's actually going to show confidence in the economy.
Yep.
With COVID, the scare, the mask, the Democrats wanting to continue to close down our economies.
Right.
But when the President of the United States recovers from it.
And still working.
Without a vaccine?
Yeah.
Without a vaccine?
Now, what's interesting?
Let's go.
This is going to do a lot. This is going to do a lot.
Let's go.
What do you guys think about the narrative that the media has been putting out there, asking, does he have a moral responsibility to all the other deaths and to the people that's also been infected around him because he wouldn't wear a mask?
No.
What do you guys think?
No.
I'm so sick of that.
No. Protect yourself. Isn't that what this country was founded on?
It's up to the individual to
Yes.
protect yourself.
Exactly.
You could have been every single person who was around him or wanted to be around him. They could have been.
daily.
They could have been hazmatted up if they wanted
felt
to.
it.
And they
That's
get
on
tested
them.
on a regular
Yep,
basis.
Absolutely.
exactly. It's crazy, and it's funny that it was only Republicans that got it after that debate too. But I'm just going to leave
That is very, very convenient. It's very convenient.
very convenient.
After the debate.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of a concern as there's talk about this vaccine because as they're starting to require more and more and more, like requiring face masks to go into places, requiring all these different kinds of background checks, contact tracing. I mean, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I vaccinated my kids. I believe in modern medical science, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know how to refute these arguments that we're turning into a, quote, medical dictatorship.
Because it shouldn't be
Because that's
mandated.
what's happening. What
how
argument?
you choose to vaccinate your kids or whether you choose to now some vaccines, when your children are born is necessary, of course. But other than that, I
Not
feel like
over
it's up to
100 of them in a
Yeah.
baby.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, when I was a kid, it was about 30 something. Now babies are having over 100. That's kind of
ridiculous.
weird.
Much.
And you
that
know, the vaccine industry has liability protection.
Of course they do.
So
Much like
so
those
with your-
lawyers in the Mueller report, just taking take insurance on yourself in case we defame people. What? Just don't defame people.
How about that for an idea?
How about just wrong? Just don't charge anybody. No, you're right though, man. Where he's gonna be up there. The vaccine is a huge thing because we can see him recover from this stuff, like you said, without the vaccine. Then we're able to go to make it people's choice. And to your point, they're basically doing the social credit scores that China's already has in place. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
So they're going to, and they've already said this has already been said in different countries in order to travel.
Yep.
In order to get insurance, in order as an actor to just be insured on the property. A lot of SAG's going to change its rule. They're changing the rules to make their own. It is a version of the free social scores
China's
that they do in
and
China.
accountable.
And if people don't know,
people can't fly,
and if people don't know about the Chinese credit score, it's a credit score based on your social activities. Where if you cross the street and a camera catches you, your credit score goes down.
Well, if you cross the street
Or
illegally,
legally,
if you-
or like
Wow.
if you say certain things
Wow.
about a political party that's deemed not necessary, then you get certain schools or certain,
like anti state government reporters, they can't travel.
Yep.
They won't be able to get hired at different places. Their articles are limited online because China controls the internet there.
Yep.
So it's there's people that can't travel. You can't travel on a plane, and they're literally going to put it in here based off the fear that
China
something is not
controls
real.
their internet.
Exactly.
North Korea controls their internet too. I was actually doing some research on that just
they
to
don't
see
play.
if I wanted to visit North Korea, what would it be like?
Don't do it.
It is
Don't do it.
outrageous.
Tough.
Don't do it.
Tough.
Outrageous.
Unless you're
Don't do
Dennis
it.
Rodman, I wouldn't go.
Right.
That's
I
just
mean,
me.
but that just reminded me of the censorship that we're getting into. I feel like they're trying to get us into an area where they are taking away our First Amendment. Or social media, for example.
Yep.
Literally, I had a couple of posts that were speaking truth about the Democrats. One of them was like a meme with the comedian Chris Farley, and he was speaking to Kamala Harris saying, hey, remember that time that you said you believed Joe Biden's accusers and you called him a segregationist and a racist? And Kamala Harris is smiling like, yeah, that was great. And then that got fact-checked. That got fact-checked. And then
Are you serious? That got fact-checked?
Yeah. Check this one
That got fact-checked?
This is the one that really gets me, right?
These guys.
They got fact-checked and said, oh, Kamala never said Joe Biden was a racist. The one that really got me is I made a post saying that the Democrats are the party of the KKK because they founded the KKK.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was fact-checked within seconds. And the specific source that they cited of why they fact-checked me was a 2007 book written by some author named Martin Martinez. And in that book, he states that although the Democrats had close allegiance with the KKK, they did not found the KKK. They fact-checked me because of his 2007 novel.
Which is after.
After the
events that we're talking about.
Then I posted a lie about Donald Trump. I posted a lie with a
blatant
quote
lie
that said Donald Trump said "fuck the police." Now we all know Donald Trump
Never,
exactly.
But where were the fact checkers?
Nothing, huh?
Nothing to be found.
Wait, so they didn't do
They
anything?
didn't do anything about that. So you can literally say Donald Trump like murdered his firstborn, and they won't fact check that.
But you can say a fact of the Democrats started the KKK, and
will
they'll
fact check
they'll
it.
find some
Second.
book from 2007 of a guy no one knows about.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is so typical.
So, you know,
This is outrageous.
Well, I think what they're trying to say is that it actually wasn't the official party, but that it was registered
By
Democrats,
all Democrats
that
who started
the KKK. It's
Yes.
different. Like, for example,
They broke off and started
like you
it.
could say Lee Harvey Oswald was a Democrat who shot JFK, but you can't say the Democrats shot JFK.
But
Well,
everyone
because the
who
Democrats
started the
supported
Klan,
it.
but everyone who started the Klan were Democrats. So Democrats
supported
started the
it.
Klan.
Yeah.
Okay, you can say Democrats in the singular sense of registered members of the political party started it.
The Democrats in the area of Indiana that started the Klan, they were Democrats.
I gotta tell you,
And
if
it
we're
I
was-
part-
understand.
if we're part of the
Black
political
people
party-
started the Black
and they
Panther
formed-
Party.
hey,
That's it.
Right, like, and they formed it politically.
Yeah, they
So
formed it politically.
So it's not like they started their own like
Thing,
away
and it wasn't
from the Democratic
political.
Party.
You
It was
remember
Yeah, but dude,
basically-
I am
formed it.
down. I am down with. Oh, whoops!
That's
I
so
totally
funny.
just pressed crazy button.
Ridiculous.
I am down. Don't like. I give huge credit to the Black Panther, not for the violence and the bombings and all other stuff. But dude, they started saying, "Look, we're having police brutality, so we're going to straight up exercise our Second Amendment
Yeah.
rights
Protect our communities.
and protect our communities." And they walked around with those militias, and you watched that violence go down.
Yep.
I actually kind of think.
That's where a lot of the stricter gun laws happen in Philadelphia, here in California, is
Here's
because
that.
of Black
Yeah.
Panthers.
There it is.
Yeah, but dude,
There
wasn't
it
there
is.
something kind of learned from that? Like, when
Give
they
people
defund the
their gun rights back,
Yep. There you go.
California and
There you go.
Illinois. That's what it means.
Shout out to
I would
you,
love
Gavin
that.
Newsom.
The people who take care of themselves.
Yeah.
You know, the censorship is, I used to call it about the Great Awakening. The censorship started in 2016 with the presidential election and with Brexit.
It didn't start there.
That's when the fact
Well,
check.
That's when they just got in your face about it. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
think from
Yeah.
schools.
I mean, it's always been there, but I just wanted to say that it's not necessarily it's free thinkers, but it's also conservatives too. Any narrative like what CNN or the mainstream media puts out, and it's against
MSDNC.
because we're fact checking the fact checkers based off of the internet. They get 700,000 views on one specific thing. Back then, when it was TV, that was big.
That was
but
it.
you can get millions off the internet,
Yep. Yeah.
and they are suppressing that. The censorship is about suppression. I know at least 3 people that DM'd me and said that they got deleted on the first.
Wow.
Their accounts gone. I'm talking hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of followers gone.
Hundreds of thousands of followers.
I've seen one that's seen 100,000
censorship for
followers
real.
gone.
That's
And
real.
it's
Now-
because of
real
the
censorship.
content of which they post.
Now I want to say that because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Is that I'm seeing these accounts with one post just gone.
Wow.
And that's scary to know that because of course we have freedom of speech, but we're on these platforms and they have the control.
Yeah.
And their rules are based off of UN rules. They're not based off American like First Amendment stuff. They're like Facebook for the individuals who are supposed to do like their crowd control people they brought in. They're all like people from the EU. There's not really any American on there, so it's not that value they're looking from that from that standpoint. They're a global country or a company now. Country. They got a lot of uranium too, but that's another story. So it's like they sit there and they're bringing these rules over here and they're trying to say like that's okay. And I want to go back to that point when you said like we were just talking about, well, you can say there were Democrats that started the Klan, but they won the Democratic Party. But the whole biggest part about that and why that they chose to fact check it, and you can't give it a pass because they didn't even question that he said Trump said fuck the police.
Right.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter about, well, maybe.
Right.
No. The fact that they even did it here but didn't do it there,
Yep.
nah,
Well,
I don't care
I've
what
done-
reason.
Just like Trump never called our soldiers losers.
No.
Exactly. But Joe
no
Biden,
fact check on that, right?
No, I have literally done that. I've gone online whenever there's a political argument. I've literally just write, white people suck. White people should die.
fine.
White people are evil.
Right.
That's fine.
You
But if
can
you say
say
that about
anything
about white people.
If you say
Absolutely.
that about a black person.
Oh my goodness.
Do you remember?
Would be
Do we
canceled.
remember?
It's a hate speech
Do we remember the 2016 when Trump got elected and all the videos of people attacking white people because of Trump supporters going rampant all over? That's violence.
You know,
I
and
felt the culture of like they encourage the violence. Candace Owens was just speaking about this actually, where you have like
shout out Candace
Democrats
Owens.
because
Yes, indeed.
What's up, girl?
yes, shout out. I didn't know that this happened to her, but she said that she was dining in a restaurant.
You're my spirit
and about
animal.
30 Democrats, mostly white, surrounded her and like chastised her and like got her to leave the restaurant.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
I
that. Did you see
remember
this?
that.
Did you see
Yeah.
that?
And
That's where I got my.
it's-
That's where I got my enjoy capitalism
And
thing
it's
from.
the same
There we go.
thing that people like Auntie Maxine
Yeah,
Waters are
same thing.
encouraging
When you
people to
see
do.
them
Get out
anywhere,
there.
harass them. This
Yeah.
is what they
She's
said.
encouraging
Yeah.
Create a
violence
crowd.
against
Exactly.
American
You
people
got it.
who don't believe in the left.
You got it.
Wow.
That is crazy.
This is what they promote.
Since when is that accepted?
And then they're waiting
Well, on
to.
the
And
left,
then,
that's okay.
but when you call it out, like that's the thing that I don't get. When you call it out, then it's like like they're saying Antifa is an idea.
Oh no,
We saw them yesterday, right?
We saw them
It
in
started
military.
as an idea, of
and-
course.
and-
But look what it is bred
Look
to
what-
now.
Yeah, exactly.
So did the KKK. The KKK
It was an
started the
idea.
thing.
Exactly.
Started by the Democrats. I'm gonna say it. They're gonna fact check this one.
America
Fact
started
check.
as an
Fact check it.
idea.
Yeah.
No,
Everything
hey,
started
hey,
as an
I
idea.
want-
I want to talk about that because we were out in a rally.
Oh,
and
we
you know,
rallied out.
Joe Biden says that Antifa is an idea, but yeah, we saw him with our own two eyes marching in a
Saw
military
about
form,
100 plus
fashion.
ideas
Whole lot of ideas.
with a whole bunch of idea flags,
This
an
one
idea
Antifa
of
chick was actually
bats.
yelling, "All
There's
hail
some idea
Satan."
of bats. It was
Idea
crazy.
weapons. I'm telling you.
Idea
Did
mass.
y'all hear the Antifa chick yelling "All hail Satan"?
I
There
know.
we go.
Yelling
I
that.
remember
Yeah.
Are you
There we
serious?
go.
She walked away yelling "All hail
There we
Satan."
go.
Once she started saying that, it was just forget it.
She
You can't,
did?
you can't talk to someone like
You
that.
can't rationalize with
See,
that.
but and like
You
what
kidding me?
we're able to do is they come there and they're on the other side and like we are turned up, they're turned up, right? So it's like driving on the highway at 60. If somebody cuts you off, you react because you're driving.
But it's
at
like
60.
they turned
Exactly.
up off of our happiness.
Exactly. So
They wanted to
They're
tear.
miserable
They
because
wanted to
they're so
tear
happy.
down.
but so what happened? So it's like once we got to a place where we started to ignore them, we turned around and when we did our thing, by the time we all did the walk and came back, they were gone.
Yeah.
And it's like we're there to show the country and the world and Beverly Hills and LA. Look, we're all colors and shapes and sizes.
Yes.
We support the country and we support them. That's what we're there for.
Yes.
They're there to fight us.
Yes.
So if we don't give them the energy,
Exactly.
then we saw we got back and they were gone.
Well, it's just like the movie It Too. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
That's
Yeah.
like literally one of my favorite.
The more we give them that attention, the more we give them that
more
fear,
powerful.
they get
Feeds
more
on it.
powerful.
Yeah.
They
Feeds
feed
on
on
the
that.
fear.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, and someone actually commented about this. They saw it and they said, you know what, the energy is electric when you get into a room full of people because energy is transferable.
Oh, you.
And when we were all patriots that love our country, we were
sir.
wild up, and then you see the other side, they're wild off hate.
Oh, hate.
Off hate.
Yep.
It's
And
love
we got
against
to
hate.
You know, it's crazy that there's a Pastor Dominic was there yesterday, and when he saw Antifa come, he started praying like crazy just to like calm everything down, and then all of a sudden, sure enough, they just turned around and went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the power.
It's-
It's the
it
power.
It was
Powerful
like an
thing.
exorcism.
Yeah.
They exorcised
Exactly.
Antifa.
It's like you have to kill them with
Whoa.
kindness.
Side
Like
the
give
But
them
you can
love.
see it in their faces. Like there was a couple of guys that were like kind of in the this is Beverly Hills at 3 till the election. Everybody show up. But it's like they're kind of like mulling around, and it was the only time we've seen people wear these like snow masks that were like covering their eyes,
right.
and like no one was like they weren't interacting with people at all. They were just
Right.
kind of like
And-
quiet,
yeah,
and they
and-
looked dirty.
and
So
I
just
want
to say it.
Yeah, that's true. They
They don't
did.
look like their clothes hadn't been
Hey.
washed in weeks.
And I
like I was
remember-
like,
Their mom
And
didn't
I
watch
remember,
it for 'em.
I looked at them and I'm like, oh, they're Antifa.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
on
you
our
were telling me
side.
about 'em.
They're
You
on
were
our
telling me,
side.
yep.
They dress as Antifa,
Yep.
Yeah.
but they have the pro-Trump shirts. They have the pro-Trump signs.
wearing the
Way full
gloves
of
all
Wearing
on
the
their
gloves.
arms.
Way
like-
fooling us.
having fanny packs, but God knows what's in those
Yep.
fanny packs.
Right.
And it's just the
Infiltrators.
tactics that we've seen in every single riot, every single protest, that they come and infiltrate, act like us. When they all come and they come on their side, now they have their own people in our side.
Yep, they came that way. It breaks us up. But the fact that we didn't engage, if we had engaged, it would have been ridiculous yesterday.
But you guys you were debating that one kid.
Oh yeah, the one that was talking about. He was harping on the fact that how come Trump didn't say more than one time. He said sure once. He should have. He wanted him to say it 3 times about white supremacy.
You
know.
Well, it's like Kevin Hart. Do you guys remember when Kevin Hart on Ellen was like, "I'm not going to apologize a 7th
Well, that's
time."
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because this narrative is crazy. Like they're putting a question out there. It's just like asking, "Well, do you still beat your wife?" Are you going to condemn beating your wife?
Right.
Are you going to condemn beating your wife?
I don't. I didn't beat my wife, and I don't beat my wife.
Exactly.
It's the same
How many
thing.
times do I got to repeat the same thing?
The fact that Chris Wallace brought that up was a joke.
Thank you.
It was a damn joke.
Thank you.
This guy literally 2 days earlier announced a platinum plan for $500 billion in the black community and designated the only president, the KKK, as a terrorist group.
That's what he should.
And that's the question you asked?
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of that part was outrageous because when you look at these two people, right, here you have a candidate who's been in Congress for 47 years. And his policy
Nothing.
has
Speak on it.
reflected
Racism.
Yep.
Funny,
And his
if
policies
Megan-
has reflected support of
Racism.
segregationists and white supremacy, but yet Chris Wallace didn't ask him to
How come?
denounce it.
Do you deny? It's like, are
Right.
you like?
It's
What are we
is this for
doing?
real?
Like,
Who
Yeah.
came up
Same
with the
thing-
questions? I demand to know
Yeah,
who
it's-
Same
wrote
thing
those questions.
what
it
Megan
seems-
Kelly did.
Yeah.
Megan Kelly came out and says, did
About
you
the
call
blackface?
what's her name, a fat
Rosie,
pig?
yeah,
Rosie O'Donnell.
yeah. He goes, yes,
Same
because
hit.
she is. I was like, yeah.
Got him.
I mean, you
Got
know,
him.
come on,
Well,
man.
I want to give Chris Wallace, as a guy who's trying to direct a very energetic happening, you know what I'm saying?
get
I
to the
understand
debate.
that you're oftentimes trying to corral kittens.
He had an
just
objective.
One of them very louder than the others. I think he was trying to say, do you now kind of just to put this to bed?
Nope,
categorically-
He had an
dude.
objective.
How many
I
times?
think he's a good
No,
man.
how many
believe
times?
that.
No, but let me
He
ask you
doesn't
this
make-
straight up.
he
Let me
may
ask
be
you
a
this.
good man.
That story he's talking about, the reason he even brought that up was to go, Joe, that's what you said, the reason why you came out, right? He goes, yep, President Trump. That's not a fucking question.
Yeah.
That's a setup and a lead-in.
Right.
And the fact
it
that
is.
he said, when it, there's, he
It was
sits there, he
it
goes,
was
these guys,
disrespectful.
it
was untruthful.
unequivocally,
Yes.
right
Yes.
after,
Yes.
in the same sentence,
Yes.
the same time when they were doing good people
So
on
do you
both
think
sides.
Chris Wallace was in on it?
Oh,
with these
yeah.
people?
Of course.
Is that
Absolutely.
2 days earlier he offered
was a
$50 billion? Why is that a question? And like straight up, why would you want to know that question if $500 billion has been promised to a black community? Why
Right.
would you want to hear that question? Why would you give him a pass for asking that question?
White supremacy is
But
going to be
besides
going
that,
after by.
why not ask both candidates that question then?
Exactly.
He didn't.
If
Well,
that's the case.
my only beef was, why haven't you asked? Didn't Joe Biden actually author the crime bill?
Thank you.
Yes.
That we've
But
like
they want to ignore
referenced
that.
for 40
Didn't Joe Biden
years,
actually
you know?
say he
Hey,
doesn't
Trump-
want his
Trump brought
children
it up.
Growing
going
up
to
in
school in a racial jungle?
Yep.
Exactly.
Didn't Biden actually
Why don't
say
we
And
talk
that's why.
about that
But
stuff?
that's why you can't go. Well, let's try to figure out why Chris
No,
did it. No,
we know what's
because
going on.
he didn't
That was
do
an
that.
agenda.
Yep.
Those questions
What he
were,
did was
like,
go. That's why he
written
came
by
out.
the
Right,
DNC.
cool.
Yep.
Do you do it now? What?
Wait, no.
When we know there's video, dude.
Yeah.
What is that right there?
That's what
a
kills me.
rerun.
The
That's a
DNC
waste of TV.
authored
That's
those
bad
questions.
programming.
That's
Yeah,
what
waste of
kills
question.
me,
It
is the
really is
fact
waste
that
of-
there are videos. There are videos. If people would just do their research, there are so many videos of Donald Trump.
They ignored the videos.
Before
And that's what that
even
guy
he
came
ran
up
for
to talk
president-
about.
Before he even ran for president, he has condemned David Duke.
Yeah.
He has condemned white supremacy,
You know-
neo-Nazis, all the whole bit. But yet and still, this is
So
a
you know
debate
why?
question.
You know why? Because talking about that doesn't put any attention on the real shit and the thievery that is going on in a lot of these cities. If you can
know
go,
what?
well, he's got like the debate yesterday. Well, you gotta. How come he's not? I go, I don't give a shit. No one cares about that. I care about the kids dying.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
I go, you
exactly.
care more about semantics than kids dying. He goes, yes.
Whoa.
He said yes.
Semantics.
Well, then there
He
you
said
have it.
yes.
We
This
know the
Democrat
left cares more
came
about
up-
semantics, though.
But that's the thing.
Well, does
like,
he even know what semantics means, though? He might have just been
probably
saying
doesn't.
it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you know how they do it. After a while,
It's
they
like-
got to just be the opposite of
you know
Trump.
what, like-
no matter what it is, he's like, oh yeah, oh
You know
yeah.
what?
I go,
have a
then
bigger
death?
message to like all.
I
of
go,
those
then babies
Antifa-
dying.
To all of the Antifa and the BLM people that came out there yesterday, like they looked ridiculous because they're dressed in all black, like they're ready to go to war.
Dirty
they don't
black.
Even know what they're fighting.
And you know what?
I feel like my message, if I had a chance to talk to like one of them one-on-one, would be like, you should go to your local legislation. You should look at people that are in your district, running your districts, like Maxine Waters, who lives in a $5 million mansion right outside of a like drug-ridden crime-ridden district that she
43rd
doesn't
district.
do anything to care about.
Vote Joe Collins.
And I want to say this one thing too about the opportunity zones, because a lot of people don't know that's exactly what this is for, right?
Yep.
My sister worked for the census in Chicago, and she got a chance to canvass the community. And it comes to things about in the community, if you need more parks, if you need more grocery stores, if you need more paved roads, if you need more stop signs, that's what these opportunity zones are for, to strengthen these communities. But yet these people out here marching and yelling and screaming hate
fascism
and
all
rioting at people like us when we're trying to get you to realize
Yeah.
that you
But I would also-
looking at the wrong
thing.
I would also point out though that if you have a Democratic mayor or councilman, he's going to fight against it. So
He's gonna fight against it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
so
why you have to vote out all blue.
Right.
yeah, that's our
I'm
thing. We
not
go.
gonna tell you how to vote, but do your research and
Do
you'll
your
see that
research.
it benefits
Well, a
you to
lot of
vote
these
out all
people-
blue.
I like that you brought that up, Lucas, because so many times people just automatically point their fingers to Trump. Oh, look at what Trump's doing.
Right.
Oh, what he's not doing, what he's not addressing. You got to look at your local leadership first and
Lawmakers
foremost.
in your community.
That's what that
They
guy
make the
said.
laws in your community.
That's what the guy said. I go, the problem start here, and he gives this look like he didn't understand.
I
and
cannot
it's like you
compute.
see it
I
on
can't
there.
compute.
It's like
He
they
had his
don't
facts
They
all
don't even
wrong
realize
about
that each
Taylor.
state
Yep.
has certain government
Yes.
over their
It's
own.
called federalism. You know what I'm
Thank you.
saying? Good. They don't
local.
understand none of that, though.
Well,
they don't understand it.
and so, but because they're being fed lies, but
You
they're being
got
fed lies at a heightened, like on a jolt type of level. So they'll come out there with all the passion and all the righteousness in their heart because they believe it. They believe it 100 miles per hour, and it's hard to fight, or it's hard when you're in a fight with someone where, like, it can't be true for them. There's no other possibility of except for what it is. And so that's why I like to stick into the life thing. And you have to tell me then, like I said to him yesterday, that you rather hear something nice than worry about people dying. He even said some people killing other people. I go, it's
That's what it's come to
85%
now.
plus
It's
in
a
our community.
popularity like prom king, prom queen.
Oh,
contest.
yes.
That's where the
indeed.
privilege is.
So if they don't like how you say it, then
it doesn't.
They don't
Yeah,
want
But
to
that's
hear
their
it.
privilege.
Yeah.
So there is no white privilege, black privilege.
Thank you.
It's a privilege of I can sit back and need it to fit me.
Yeah.
Even while people are dying, and even while
you know,
people are affected
you know,
with all these things, they don't matter.
You know,
Doesn't matter to him.
I want to point out that in Candace Owens' book Blackout, there was a segment where
Was
she
that
talking
a
about,
shameless plug?
No, it was very shameful.
well, we are in a blackout.
she actually talked about how I'm not going to paraphrase it, but I'll quote it. I'm going to paraphrase it. How liberalism is somehow a symptom of privilege.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
Yes, it was powerful. It was powerful.
It is so
And
true.
it's like people that didn't live through slavery, didn't live through oppression, here now today want to complain about something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they want to portray that there's some type of victim mentality or a struggle
They need to feel it.
here today.
Yep.
But
Well,
you have
also,
all
I
the
think-
opportunity.
Garments,
You have
they put
all
on
the
garments,
opportunities in the world,
Yeah.
as long as you stop thinking that you're a victim.
Well, I've also
as a
noticed
victor.
that, especially amongst young people, like all of us read about the civil rights era. We read about the bravery of our grandfather. I mean, my
Thank you.
grandpa was like lying about his age to go storm the beaches of Iwo Jima, you know?
Yeah.
And then we look at ourselves in the mirror as 17-year-olds and we're like, I'm already getting overweight. I suck and I'm a loser.
because-
You know what I'm saying? And we have this thing in us where we want to be great too.
I want to say something about that.
And
I want to
it's
say something about
almost
that.
like
Purpose.
it's almost like these Antifa cats, these leftists,
Yeah,
these
exactly.
oppressed millennials or
Exactly.
whatever. It's almost like if I can't fight the civil rights battle because it was already over by the time I
Exactly.
was born, I sure as hell am gonna create a new one.
Exactly.
2.0, baby.
Well,
That's
but the
exactly-
thing,
That's
well, I was saying the thing about them though is that they're being told by those people who just missed it back in the day, right? Like the ones who were. They were like teenagers and 20s in the 70s.
Right,
so they weren't the ones walking, getting hosed down in the 60s.
right.
So they just missed that, but they're always being told, remember that. Now you have them infiltrating the schools back from the level of college. Now you have that whole crew of college people coming out in the 80s, going into our 90s, where they slowly have been chipping away at
Liberal
No,
indoctrination.
I lay that at the feet 100%. The dereliction and the idiocy of this new generation of Antifa or leftists or whatever you want to call them, that's directly at the feet of lazy conservative parents who kept on sitting back saying, oh, well, they can learn all this nonsense in college. Once they hit the real world, then they'll get it out of their system. No, they didn't. They got hired
and moved back into
the system.
They started suing the company they got hired with.
You know, they wear their hair fucking up in a purple mohawk for the whole day.
You know what? And to like speak on that, I really feel that it's a generational thing too, because I've studied like certain generational like wealth and the gaps in between. So for example, people back in the day, in the 60s, 70s, that's my back in the day. So,
for us.
Right, like, that's back in the day. But I feel like we had more home ownerships before you were 30. We had more families that were together. People had their small businesses. Now, when you look at communities,
we were in suits.
how many people do you know that own a home that's under 40?
Right.
Shit.
Well, that has all to do with expense and then also just actual population density. It's proven that men are more likely to get married, quote, settle down and have children if they feel they have the space to accommodate. So oftentimes that down payment will precede the marriage or the reverse, because whenever you're under economic stress, you're not thinking about how I can grow my family. And it's that economic stress. I mean,
but that economic stress has been manufactured in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles especially. That's the problem. It's been manufactured. It's been increased. I mean, we have what? It was
like the price too.
Yeah.
Because it says something when you have people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and all they can afford is like a bachelorette studio unit, you know, like a college style unit. And
they're
that's
lowering,
all they can do.
They're lowering our expectations. They're lowering our, like, you know, what used to be.
Who's the they? Who's the they you speak?
Democrats. I'm saying Democrats because they're the ones that tell you what to watch on TV. They tell you how to listen to and how to react on.
How many taxes?
You can't say that or you ain't black.
Yeah, well, hey, welcome to the show. Looks like I'm in the right place then, huh, guys?
You're in good company.
Speaking of that, it really gets me. Have y'all ever really just thought about like the constrictions? If you look at it, like, okay, white people historically can be Democrats, Republicans.
They're not white. They're smooth papaya.
Smooth papaya. I like that. Okay, Caucasians, white. They can be Tea Party. They can be independent, green, anything. Latino people can be Republicans, anything. But us, even our own community.
Yes, sir.
If you're
Especially
not
our own
Democrat, you're
community.
looked at like,
That was something I was
like
frustrated with
sheep
growing
agent.
up. Yeah, that used to be her break my. I'd be like, I don't understand that.
Well, they don't
But
call the
understand what do you
plantation
guys
for
think of-
anything.
have
Like
you
man.
feeling
guys
like
heard
we
of the
can't be
switch?
everything we want.
I hear that there's a theory about the switch when it happened when black people left the Republican Party.
Oh, the
became
big
Democrats.
switch.
That was because all those free programs that were given away back because of the Great Depression.
When you study it, when you study it, some of it had to do with the Triple C, like the conservation corps and so on and so forth, but also just the general urbanization post Civil War and African Americans moving north to get industrial jobs was a lot of why that supposed switch of the populace happened. The switch of the party never happened. That's been debunked.
Thank you.
That
but the
represents
general
my family.
demographic shift over 40 years
Yes.
really had to do with the fact that African Americans were moving from the South, which was generally rural and agrarian, to the northern areas that were already dominated by Democrats. Therefore, if they were going to compete in the power structure or register, they were no longer voting Republican versus Democrat. They were voting like this Democrat versus that Democrat. Therefore, they registered according to the area that they were in.
They also leaned in heavy after the Great New Deal.
Because
they saw that as a win.
New Deal.
They saw that as a
That's where
win,
it
and
did.
then it doubled down even
where it
worse
did.
after the 64 bill. So even though like the Republic or Democrats held the longest filibusters of 75 days in our history to try to hold up that Civil Rights Act, and LBJ signed it, so they just used the same narrative as Trump is the most evil. LBJ had our back. Democrats.
Yes.
But Democrats are won't try to hold it. Stop it.
But then he said that I'm gonna be having these black people.
No. He didn't say no. He didn't say that.
I know.
I'm gonna have these niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
I wasn't serious when I said that.
But
I was.
I was.
But that speaks directly, literally.
Now I got to go back and
my
edit.
family.
Do you?
Maybe a lot of people's families who migrated from the South to the North, right? So my grandfather, he came from Mississippi along with my grandmother, and they came to Chicago back in like the 60s. And they had a building. They actually own a 2-story flat building, and they had a restaurant on the first floor.
That's cool.
Right? To this day, that building is still in the family. My mother and father live in that building.
Yeah.
And he had property in Mississippi.
Okay.
Wow.
To this day, though,
I thought he couldn't do
their
it because of
children,
slavery.
like my parents' children, my sister, my brother, and I, we're struggling to be property owners.
Yeah.
And the difference, and it's not that we're lazy. We all went. My sister and I went to college and graduated. We've been working, but it's like the generational gap of how I've even asked my mother and father, how did you all own property and own land back then? When
They didn't have
really,
student loans, which are literally a freaking house payment now.
Really?
You're buying a house
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you go to
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Really are.
Like I know people that are
just go
paying off
further and
3,
further
4,
in debt.
5, 6 grand a month on student loans, and I'm like, well, dude, there's your house payment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's real.
That was done. And again, all those things were done on purpose. So then guess who we have to rely on?
The government.
Daddy government.
Wait, but Joe Biden is actually the guy that signed the law saying you can't default on student loans.
When did he sign that? I
Oh no! There was a very obscure credit bill that was passed. It was during the Obama administration, in which actually fact check me on this. I don't know if it was early Obama administration or if it was when he was a senator. And actually, I think it might have been.
Don't worry, they will.
Earlier than Obama. But either way,
Fact check.
he's the one that signed the bill that you cannot default on student loans.
Or what?
Well, you can default on any loan,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Or
then the
what,
debtor
though?
takes
Or
the money
what,
back.
though?
If you default on a car loan, then they take the car back. They impound the car.
So he's saying that they'll take your degree back?
No, they can't take the degree back, so you can't default on that loan. They'll straight up take it from your kids out of your inheritance if you die.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? You cannot default
Because
on
a lot-
that
and
loan.
That's the one thing
So,
different.
I see what you're
Because
saying. Like the debt never goes
The
away.
debt
Yeah,
never
yeah,
goes
wow.
away.
That
You
is
can't
crazy.
declare bankruptcy
you can't.
on
Exactly.
student
can't.
loans.
So that's what a lot of
Nothing.
people do.
And
They try to
it's promised by the government. The government promised these loans like 20 years ago.
And then
So that's why
these
everything's
kids,
been jumping
they get
up.
these kids and they affirmative action them into this super expensive school, end up racking up 40, 50K worth of debt.
Got
They
it.
realize that, okay, maybe factoring trinomials isn't for me.
Right.
I should actually go
Right.
and do like
Right.
something else. And then when they
real.
decide they want to go do that something else, they're like, okay, cool, go do that something else as long as you're paying off $3,000 a month until you
For
die.
the next
Yeah,
30,
yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, for the next
That's
30, 40 years.
crazy.
Hey,
And
but
that's-
hey, you can't move up unless you go to the college.
But that's what.
That's the other thing, right?
That's
You
what I
can't
stand.
get ahead unless you
They
go to
always
college.
Unless you go to
propagate
college.
This idea that if you do not go to college, you are a buffoon.
Yep.
You're an idiot. And if you go to these trade schools where you learn a skill and you can still make a bunch of money,
You're looked down on, right?
You're looked down
Yeah.
upon.
Oh.
You know what I'm
Trade
saying?
school
You know,
is
trade school.
you didn't go to a university.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. If you look at how a society works,
Thank
right?
you.
You can't have everybody be doctors and lawyers. You got to have people who cook
Thank
food. You have to have
you.
people who lay out the pavement. You have to have people who
Thank
cut the
you.
trees.
Hey, you know, a lot of
Like,
people.
we have to
we
appreciate
need
all of
that.
these professions,
Come
right?
on.
But it's a
Just that-
shame. It's a shame that they put on
You
all
have
that
to have
stuff.
people that like lay out pipes and change.
Right,
Like,
you know, plumbers.
I mean, you know.
Plumbers.
You need these type of people.
But they did that. They broke it down when we had shop and we had home ec in high school
Right.
back in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s, right?
Right.
Now we don't have that anymore.
we don't.
And it's like you don't. They're slowly
Did you
coming
just
back.
defend the patriarchy?
Yes, because I'll show you what the patriarchy without it looks like.
I
It looks like the
graduated
black
in
community.
2000.
Come
Without the
on.
patriarchy, that's what it looks like.
school
If
is
everyone
so
wants to see what the
different
state
now.
looks like raising your
They don't
children,
teach
check out the
nothing
black
now.
community.
I graduated in the 2000s, and I remember part of the graduation requirement was you had to pass swimming class,
Yeah.
you had to pass driver's ed, and you had to pass cooking class.
And that was in
Make your
Chicago
production
too.
of society.
At least some life skills. I don't know what they doing.
Take
They
care
don't
of
do
baby.
that.
Take care
Well,
of
my-
baby.
People are graduating and don't even know how to swim or drive.
This dude, I know y'all know who I'm talking about. Mike Rowe. He was a guy of he did the Dirty Jobs. He went on Ben Shapiro's podcast, and this dude talked about how there's just a lack of there's no interest when it comes to these trade jobs and these occupations of the like. And he was saying that a lot of these dirty jobs that he went to, these people were making bank.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
These,
That,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what I was.
They
gonna-
were clocking dollars, but yet and still, these are the jobs. They're the dirty jobs, so they're looked down upon. They're not. They're not important. They're not glamorized like the underwater basket weaving degree that you can get from these.
And they even break it down. Even like either you're gonna get something that's gonna change the world as you teach it, or you're gonna be a superstar.
Yeah.
If you're either one of those two, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
how
also
about-
that's also in our community too. It's
Yeah.
like you have to make, you
also
have to make
think-
money. You're not the
But
business.
they don't
if you're not,
teach us.
if you don't have that money.
But from high school, junior high and high school, they don't teach us banking. They don't teach us about our credit report. They don't teach us how to find. They don't teach us any of those things. That's how the world works.
You know what?
You don't need
the parents. I'm gonna tell y'all this. Literally,
definitely.
Okay, so for example, I got my first job when I was 14. Like you couldn't even work at that age, but the boss at the grocery store was paying me under the table in cash. My father literally, he worked in banking and he had a ledger, and each week I had to give him a certain percent that he would put in an account for me, and he taught me how to like save and balance that at 14.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
But they're more worried about
every year in high school. Every year.
But they're more worried about making sure that our kids learn they, those, these, and thems, and that they teach them sex education and have access to Planned Parenthood. But you don't want to teach them anything.
Look at the comparison.
Nothing about money.
Look at that comparison.
And then you back that up with capitalism is evil.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So the thing you don't know about, I'm telling you, it's evil.
Yep.
And
where else is it supposed to go?
And also, it's mandatory to vote Democrat when you're graduating.
Yeah.
Literally. It might as well be. Right?
It might as well. I mean, that's what they tell you there. I mean, the teachers tell them that stuff. I had a girl hit me up.
Wait, but hold on a second. I lay that at the feet of the lazy Republicans, though, because honestly, nothing is stopping the Republican Party from doing the exact same voter registration activities that they do at some of these high schools.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, the Republicans could do more. Sometimes it amazes.
You know what?
Trump's doing this 1776 education thing.
But I feel like they're letting the Democrats be these big playground bullies.
They let it. The problem is they let it go on for so long because they were still making money. That's the problem.
Oh, the Republicans are still making money.
The Republicans are still making money, so it's like, look, I'm still making money. What's going on? I'm not worried about you. And then you look up, and now the wave is coming. You're like, oh, shit,
wait a minute.
happening?
I didn't know.
Yeah, because they sat back and they kept winning.
It's like, I don't know which one is worse. I actually think the lazy boomer Republicans frustrate me and are more culpable for the decline of America than the psychotic, washed up, leftover revolutionaries that brainwashed all of their children. Because what else could you expect from a disgruntled wannabe revolutionary?
That's worse though, because they brainwashed their children. So
but he's saying
college campus.
No, but like, which is worse? The century. Why do we always kill the traitor first, and why do we always kill the sentry who falls asleep? Because the sentry that falls asleep at the gate is responsible for the death of everybody inside. You know what I'm saying? And the boomer generation, like, is
Rob
just
Reiner
like, oh, we grew up without any problems and economic prosperity, without any kind of major foreign finance.
I like that analogy.
Very true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Very true.
Well, they say
it's all of our faults.
The only way for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing, and that's what we've seen time and time again. And here's the result.
I mean, that's what got us out there.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what got us out. I mean, we first time we met, he was there, but we didn't talk to him, and we just was like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" Lucas and I met in the park, and he just saw something I put up, and he was like, "Hey, man, it's like."
So I got some.
We had to stand up.
Here's the antidote: we making conservatives great again.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, we're making them cool
my
again.
honest opinion, I feel like I never understood what is the attack against conservatism. If you look at what conservatism is, you care about family, you care about religion, you care about your way of life, you care about
less
life.
Taxes.
Less taxes.
You don't
what
want
is
the
wrong
government
with that?
Small government.
They support white supremacists.
Even if let's just go to a little further.
That's Caucasian supremacy.
Like Bible thumpers, right? Like. Let's just go a little bit further.
It's smooth papaya supremacy.
Fair enough. I'm sorry.
I was waiting for that.
What's wrong with those people? Like, even though they may be a little annoying, the Bible thumpers, but what's wrong with?
No, you know what it is.
God first.
No. You want to know why there's an oppression?
Under attack?
You want to know why there's an attack on it? Is because it builds prosperity, lower taxes, enterprise. Strong family home, Christianity. It's going to build a society.
Big government
and that's why they're under attack of it, because they don't want to build that society. They want to control that society. It's not liberal conservatism. It's prosperity, moving forward or moving backwards.
That's the backwards part to me, though.
It is backwards.
Is that there? Yeah.
It's 100%.
But and like you said, it's all for power, right? This country's established on the ideals that individualism can win out if you work hard enough, right? That's some of the core tenets of this country. Then they're teaching that's not true. We need to control it and then tell you how it works.
Exactly.
Like, so they're going literally against individuality.
Yeah.
That's what they're pushing against and saying you're wrong, you're evil because you don't want to be an individual. And they've been doing that for so long in different ways, at least since the late 60s, to the point where now they're just saying it.
They need us to be a monolith. That's what they're
fighting.
This is everything that it is. They want us to be a monolith. They want us to be one big giant voting block that's going to do as they say, that's going to march to the beat of their drum and say what it is that they want us to say, so that they can keep propagating their foolish ideas.
To keep their money and power.
Exactly.
You know what?
So they can stay
Hey, overweight, middle-aged white guy here.
Go.
I had a question. No, I'm just kidding. But like, so here's my question though: is like, what is the fix? We could talk about the problem all day long, but I don't know what the fix is.
Success.
I know.
Okay,
I got a part of the fix, and this is speaking on what you just said, Stephen, is that the monolith thing, because it's not just them. We literally treat ourselves as monolith. Wait. Because speak on it. I feel like we, as a community, as a family, right, growing up, we need to appreciate the duality and the diversity that we have. We need to appreciate when kids make the honor roll and are doing good in school. We need to not celebrate the like gang bangers, and we need to appreciate
the WAP.
We need to appreciate kids wanting to play tennis or play golf. Just because you're black and you want to do country music. We need to appreciate that.
Only white people do that.
Thank you.
How
much hate do we get from each other?
All the time.
That's who does it.
Right.
They, at this point now, it's done. They have their agents in the black community. It's not like some white guy in a clan who'd be like, "You want to read, boy?" No, that shit ain't happening. It's you think you smart now, homie? Nigga, what's wrong with you, nigga? Nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that. You're like, I'm not a nigga, dog. That's the first thing I said to that dude when the guy was like, "Oh, nigga, you blind." I go, "First of all, I'm not a nigga."
I mean,
I'm gonna say it all day because but it's cool for us to say it. You got to bleep it out when you say it.
Yeah, I was about to say thanks, man. You just added like 20 minutes editing.
But do they care? Do they care when is black folks saying it? Do they care?
I mean,
I don't know. I just avoid it whenever possible.
You remember that Dave Chappelle joke, right?
I have lived in fear of the N-word my entire life. Okay.
Well, it's working then. They did it. They did it. I remember they did that. It was during the 92 OJ trial. Or was that 94? It was 94, right? OJ trial was 94. That's when they first started saying N-word. They never used to say that before. Then the news report was like, and Mark Furman said the N-word. About the N-word. And they did a whole, I remember this. I'll be like, this nigger, I don't get it.
You know what?
Because we used to hear it on TV before then.
That's true.
That's the
that's
the problem. Music videos, TV.
You got it.
I know someone
News.
that lives in another country. I won't mention this person's name, but she would say the N-word.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what are you doing? Don't say the N-word.
Well, also in Spanish,
I
you just say
I
it.
hear it all the time
Yeah.
in my country.
But because what are we exporting about black culture to most countries?
Thank you.
The
They
same
think
thing
it's
we're
okay.
getting in our neighborhoods, which is bullshit and shitty shit.
So are you suggesting we like bring it back, dog? Like what's
Sorry,
going on?
No, I suggest we like Lucas was saying, we are everything.
Yeah.
Let's show let that part of black community be seen too. They only show like a small little box. Of
I mean,
us, and then
hello.
everyone thinks
Hello. We're here.
We are our own
This is
problem.
us.
Honestly, now this is just on the real. Sometimes like it can just be so like I don't mean to attack us as black
we need
people,
to.
but literally like it. Okay,
Black
people
bread.
like, do you remember when like Venus and Serena Williams came out? Right, they were like our modern day like Wilma Rudolphs and Jesse Jackson,
go.
like champions, and the only thing
Let's
black
go.
people could talk about was their edges and their hair, and like their braids and how they look. That is, I mean, come on.
It's the crab in the
we gotta
bucket
do
mentality
better.
with
Like we
us.
really got to do better, black people.
We're
How
crabs
can we
in the
expect
bucket.
other people to give us a certain respect that
Thank
we
you.
don't
The
even give
respect,
ourselves?
yeah.
It's almost like you invite somebody into your home and
They act a fool.
and you
They act a
flicking
fool.
cigarette ashes down and spitting, and then they take their shoes off and you, whoa, no.
how dare you take your shoes off in my house? You're like,
It's like,
you're right, I shouldn't because it's shitty.
right. But like,
I should keep them on.
and you don't even want them to put their feet with socks on up on your table, but
yeah.
you flicking cigarette ashes all over your own house. You have
so
to like
funny.
show
That's so
people how to
funny.
treat you. I feel like.
Yeah, you know, but
Right.
isn't that what we're taught?
Yeah.
You can't love anyone until you love yourself.
Yeah.
That's what we're taught in our
Literally.
families. My mom taught me that all of a sudden, but as a group that works different.
Hey,
Right.
I remember the family where
Well,
I remember.
I was going to ask you this. All of you guys have mentioned, okay, I grew up, my dad taught me how to save. My dad taught me this. My dad taught me that. And what I worry about is you look at the stats of just children born out of wedlock without fathers in the picture, and it's been a constant grievance of Black conservatives.
Twice as much
the
for blacks.
state enforcing and incentivizing a father to exit the picture has been the most detrimental thing. So you guys have obviously kind of escaped this mental plantation, as you called it, because to a certain degree your fathers inculcated certain ideas.
There, so it was,
I didn't have a father either.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what about those kids that do grow up where the only parental influence they have is indirectly their mother and their teachers teaching them this leftism? Like, what can we do as conservatives, as just informed and concerned citizens, to help those kids out that aren't getting that additional measurement of truth?
Yeah, all of the above.
Do they take conservatives in Big Brother?
Yeah, take anybody. I don't think they ask you on the sheet. So if you happen to vote, no, they don't do that. Just go and do it, man. I think it's
even if you're being a big brother to like your niece or nephew.
You got it. You got it.
Or somebody else's niece or nephew.
It's important.
Some people don't want to have children, but there's a lot of children that are already out there that are like neglected. You know, but it's like the overstepping though. I know when it comes to like Black parenting, I've been over some of my friends' house, or their cousin could be there, and it's like they're smoking a blunt right there in front of the 5-year-old.
Right.
But if you say something,
don't you dare! What you doing? Talking
you better
about
be
my
ready to
child.
fight if you tell her not to smoke a blunt in front of her 5-year-old.
You know the positive thing that you want to be, that you want in your children.
You know, they're talking about systemic racism, all that stuff, and then the symptoms of that they're claiming comes from fatherless homes.
Absolutely,
gang banging, poverty, all that stuff. So when we talk, exactly. So when we talk about these issues, I remember having my grandfather. He was a big conservative. I mean, he thought he was a Democrat, but he was conservative. I remember, and he was a Marine. He was a Marine. And like I didn't have a father, and I know this. I've lived it firsthand where I had homies that would help me out, and I looked up to them. And I went down a certain path. I turned because my grandfather, he was the one that said, when we eat, make sure you say amen. When you come into the room and you don't say good morning, I'm not going to acknowledge you until you say good morning to me. I think as Black America, we need to get back to that family structure.
That was real stuff.
That's what Candace Owens also said in her book as well about her grandfather and the immense impact that her grandfather had in her life, and that we need to get back to that if we want to get back to true conservatism, because that's where it comes from.
Remember that?
I love that.
Remember that back in the day when we had that in the family? Now we have smoking blunts, WAP. You get what I'm saying? And that is the key when it comes to moving forward.
When you again, and it's, I can feel like what we gotta look at is it's like we can identify one part of it, but it's been a consistent attack from the welfare program to then the crack war on drugs with the crack epidemic in the 80s, which took Black men out. Then the 94 crime bill came through and swept whoever else was left over.
Signed by who?
Right, signed by Joe Biden.
Old Joe Biden.
Good old Joe. I don't want a racial jungle.
Biden and Clinton's tag team.
Right, tag team. My bad. Let's give the credit out.
Don't take her out. Don't take her out.
So when you have that space, right, and say mid 90s, because I didn't have a dad. I had a big brother, which helped a lot in some ways. But as I've grown up, I've still missed a whole bunch because I didn't have a father. And then you have it clicked in with like Michael Jordan happened to be someone worth looking up to, but that's who we started that like. Oh, that's who we look up to. Then you got your rappers, and now it's LeBron James they listen to, who's literally like shelling for China,
spewing hate for America.
And you sit there and you see it's like, man, I was a kid who was just listening to everything they said to do. It just happened to be what they were saying in 1994 wasn't as crazy as they're saying now, but I was still waiting to see what they said, right? Because I didn't have that father, I didn't have that grounding in there, and now. It's even more where it's like, oh, you get pregnant a little bit, plan B, go, clean, you can do it.
I mean, I feel like I never, even growing up as a kid, and we listening, like we had to sneak to like listen to Lil Kim and I feel like I never felt like that reflected real life. I always felt like that was like some fantasy, like watching a movie.
Because you had your dad there. You had your dad there. I mean, I knew homies that was. I mean, I used to listen to DMX like Ready.
Right.
But I was ready because I'm living that deep. You know. I was barking all over the place.
So was I.
Excuse me. You guys, yes. I may not come off as a barker, but it comes every once in a while. But I believed it and I fell for everything. I was there for everything until it was like, why was I so? And Nick, you and I could probably just speak to the fact that like
I fell for
the
it.
the amount of fun, the amount of joy, just on a consistent basis, just in this mentality that we shifted to. It's like I think about it like, man, I really believed it to the point where I was waiting to like hurt somebody because of the history of everything.
I almost went down a life of crime, and like I feel so liberated now that I'm a citizen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm contributing to society rather than tearing it down.
Right.
And again, it all starts with the father, because
it feels
if
good
you don't
to
have
be
a
a part of
father,
it.
if you don't have a father that puts you into shape, whips you into shape, then you're gonna look towards another male for that fatherly role, and it's a big brother. And who's that big brother in the streets? Who's it gonna be?
But check
usually.
out this mind blower for you, right? Here's the duality. My brother and I are literally only like 18 months apart.
Oh, wow.
Both grew up in the exact same household with a father. Same lifestyle as far as you consider it. Stark difference though. He dropped out of high school. He was in the gang life. He has 2 children right now that he's not even a father to. My sister and mother and
That's
their
how it
uncle
works. That's how it
raised
works.
the kids. But yet our father was a father to us, and we telling him like, you knew how it was growing up. Our dad used to take us for bike rides. You know.
Yeah.
To the movies, all this stuff. You don't do anything with your kids.
No.
And
well, that boils down to the victim and victor mentality. Then, you know, obviously you're a successful man. You're doing for yourself. You have your own business. You're doing everything that's necessary to promote yourself in life. And then you have those who, you know, succumb to the victim mentality. They think that they can't do it, and they believe
It's
on
the
the
man. It's the white man.
So
Systemic racism.
how much
man.
of it is on the parent?
Yeah.
And how much is
well,
up
you know,
to the
I think
individual?
It boils down to the individual.
It does boil down to the individual,
Yeah.
but what we got also, like, again, we got to remember they have all the apparatus. So where you may have a stronger will, that's where it's like it's not in the vacuum, right?
Yep.
Because
That's
like you're still going on the street. You just said Lil' Kim wasn't real. If your brother believed it was real,
Yep.
it didn't matter what your dad said. But then he's getting hit with everything.
That's so true.
And he's not getting hit
that's
every
so
once
true.
in a while.
That's
He's getting hit
good.
all the time, phones
No,
and all this.
that's good.
So you go, oh, it's not real.
That's
He goes,
so true.
hey, maybe that's real.
Like,
And
I
then
remember
it's
being
just-
13 thinking like smoking weed was stupid.
Yeah, me
I
too.
didn't smoke
Yeah, me
weed.
too. Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't smoke weed until I was like a senior. I
Yeah.
was late in
to end the game in Chicago, right? but it goes to show how like
Lucas
even
is at
with
the
a
party.
strong foundation, right?
He's in the party.
He's party hard.
He's here.
With a strong foundation, but with a strong foundation, you came out stronger than your brother who's struggling. Now imagine, what is it like at an 80% rate of like fatherless homes? 80% of now this community doesn't have a father to filter all that shit, and they're just getting it going.
And
Poof.
you know.
Well, you talked a lot about the victim mentality, though, and can't there be some? Let me engage in the soft bigotry of low expectations. Okay,
Fun.
Isn't there though an argument for reparations, though, that it was the U.S. government?
Nope. Let me tell you why.
created
Nope.
the
Stop it
problem?
right now. Nope. I'm
No,
gonna
no,
stop.
I-
Nope.
If you don't believe in reparations, then you ain't black.
Well, welcome to the show.
ain't black. Right
Welcome
now,
I'm saying I'll blow it up right now because okay,
Break
right away because slave. I mean, this is we're done with the whole
I'm
slavery
going to
thing.
argue with you about why I need to give you money. What are you thinking?
Just take the money.
So people always want to do the slavery, right? Oh, we haven't recovered from slavery, the trauma of slavery. After the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, literacy for black community was less than 2%. 10 years later, it was 90%. So you can't say it was slavery because it was slaves that got their kids smart. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. There's nothing else to say.
So I do
they
have a
started their own
question.
businesses. They started their own communities. and their literacy was up to 90%
Let's
from
go.
slaves. Not from
let's say-
motherfuckers that have cell phones readily at hand and getting fucking
Well,
money
so
on the
here's the
side.
question
No,
I do have
it's
for
on
you, though.
you. Oh,
I agree. You can't look at people that have a darker color of skin and then say, okay, it's a monolith that all deserves money. But at the same time, we can't really say we are a Judeo-Christian country that has committed this great sin of slavery without saying what is the repentance process.
Repentance
of
for that
sin.
happened. It's a mind
that's
thing.
it,
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking. That example was 10 years after
Okay,
slavery ended.
so
you
I'm-
can't say these people today. I'm not. He's not. He's not. He's not. No, no one here. Y'all. Nobody here that lives today is affected by slavery.
you.
Nobody.
Why?
Because if those
Thank
slaves, literally, those slaves can take and start their own business and educate their kids. That it was a 90%. 10 years later.
Now you got California.
Okay, so what do you say to writers like
California Newsom is trying to bring in reparations and investigate?
And, well, and can't you say, what do you say to people like Ta-Nehisi Coates?
I'll tell you what I'm going to say real fast.
Look at red light. No, I'm going to talk over you. Because
he's going to exercise his
liberal
and exercise his privilege. Oh, we knew that. We knew it. We knew it. We gotta get out of here.
We knew it all along.
In here.
What's on the back of this? It's like a sickle fucking hammer sickle comes down. Yeah. I'm like, what? He goes, oh,
no.
Well, what do you say
like
to
writer
the No, I'm
Tekashi.
still talking over it. I'm just kidding. Say what you got to say. Say what you got to say.
No, because I wanted to build on what. Don't forget your question though about that author.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's priceless.
I wanted to build on what you were saying though, because I feel like there is a straddling of the fence. Now, hear me out, please, because you cannot negate that institutions who made a profit, if we're looking for the profit, because we're not talking about, we can leave the morality out of it and all the other things and the emotional side effects. Let's look at it from the business point of view, right?
That's the
so,
argument.
for example, if Walmart, well, let's just use this example because Sprint just bought out T-Mobile, right? So whatever debt that T-Mobile had, does that debt go away when when Sprint takes over the company? And so what about the profits, the companies that are still existing today, like certain railroad companies or certain like Montgomery Wards or whatever companies that literally profited directly from slave labor, and then the promise of the 40 acres and a mule. So if you just look at that part alone, and if you can trace back and say, well, hey, my grandmother Fannie Mae was on this plantation, and when she got the news in 1865 that she was free and she didn't get her 40 acres and a mule, we can translate that value to economic financial
didn't that
value
not
today.
get passed? That didn't get passed in Congress. That was all just that was a thought. So there's no rule down for 40 acres and a mule.
So that goes even further with,
so there's nothing,
since it was never enforced.
No. It was never passed. So that's not a thing. That's not real.
No,
throw it away.
It was a comment and a promise made by Abraham Lincoln, and But
I'm saying it was never passed. Let's talk about laws. Let's stop talking about the grandiose ideas of things, because we got to talk about the facts. That's how we get to.
Here's the fact.
If we talk about the facts, right there at that moment when every single slave got the word that they were free and they had to leave their home of what they've called home for all their lives, the whole generation from the grandmama down to the newborn. Where are they gonna go? That's why the 40 acres and a mule came in place. So now you have land.
No, I know, but what I'm saying, what I'm saying is it was never a law. It was
right, like, even though it wasn't a law,
I know. So we can't talk about it as a law.
About that
I understand, but we can't talk about it like that because it's like that's the argument. That argument isn't real. To say that they didn't have anything, that's fine, but we use that as if it was passed. It was nothing was ever passed.
If you put yourself as a lawmaker,
they should have passed it.
1865,
they should have passed it.
Right.
That's
the thing. So
that wasn't passed. I know, but it wasn't. But if it was never passed, it can't be an argument. No, but it was never passed. It can't be an argument.
Hear me out. Here are some things that were passed. FDR. When he wanted to release all of the funds in order to create the FHA loans, the Federal Housing Authority, all right? We know there was the infamous redlining, where different loans wouldn't be given in communities based upon their property value. And, what do you know? It was the black communities that weren't worth anything, and they wouldn't give loans out. So there was this ability to create middle-class wealth that was not granted to one group based upon skin color, while it was granted to others. So and I'm always thinking this, maybe it's too philosophical, but I look at the way American Indians were treated by Democrats in the state government.
That's the point I was going to bring up.
They were promised, for example, look, if you cede us this land and don't war with us anymore, because honestly, you're whooping our butts in some cases. You know what I'm saying? We will actually give you a senator, representation in Congress. That was never given to the Navajo Nation, even though it was promised as parts of the negotiation. So I kind of feel like there's a representational reparation that needs to get done to the American Indians, not based off of some kind of white guilt. Oh my gosh, my grandfather escaped the Nazis in Poland. My great-great-grand aunt was Clara Barton, the founder of the American Red Cross. I don't have some kind of overwhelming white guilt for slavery, but I do feel as an American, if my people promised the American Indians representation in Congress, that's not even reparations. That's just making good on a promise. So also, just like I can sue for eminent domain, or I can sue for a violation if a police officer arrests me for a crime I didn't commit, can't people who have a legitimate grievance, they can say, look, my grandfather's wig shop, okay, was crushed via eminent domain because they built the freeway through the black neighborhood, because the property values were lower, and that impacted our generational wealth. I really think there's this kind of, some people call it the American descendants of slaves grievance and so on and so forth. I feel like there should be some kind of apparatus in government where we can do something.
There is.
You
know what it is? It's called voting.
But
you
it's
vote for
not
the
just
people.
Voting. That
You vote for
needs
people.
to revolve around a business plan.
A business plan of getting people out of your communities that are telling you you're a fucking victim. You can't open your own shop. You don't know about banking.
Well,
if you start changing that
now,
they're not.
We're only addressing what he was saying about the eminent domains and what if say
but
that
it's
your grandfather's shop directly was torn down.
But what I'm saying, it all comes down to take advantage of the progress that is in this country.
That's
Don't act like you're not part of this country.
Well,
that's they've been selling that. They've been selling a lie.
But if you could say, hold on, if you could bring paperwork forward and say, look,
thank you.
My family owned 40 acres.
That does not.
It was taken from us for sub-market value due to my family's skin color.
They were kicked out.
We were kicked out. Here's the newspaper clippings of everything that freaking the governor said about us. You know what I'm saying? Like the state of X, Y, or Z owes me. I think there should be some reparations.
Democrats should pay for it. I'm pretty sure that Democrats should pay for that had a big reason of why that grandmother couldn't pass down or bequeath anything to her children. And further down the line, generational wealth.
I think that would be.
I'm pretty sure that contributed.
That would be feasible. This is my humble opinion. I think that would be feasible if this happened directly after, these slavery and all the different.
That's what the time to have done.
That would be the time. At this point in time,
they should have passed it.
There is no excuses. You can do whatever it is that you want to do with your life. You can make whatever changes in your life. I don't care if you live in the hood. I don't care if you live in the worst parts.
No. It needs to be means tested. Ran through me and my friends first, and then
according to Democrats,
and I will threaten to take it away from you if you don't vote for me.
And that's the thing. That's the thing right there, right? They set up these arguments so that they can say, well, no, we're so bad. This is the only way you can be better in your life, and that's not true. That's not true. They set up the problem and only give you this small lane to see the world through. That's not America.
Yeah, the
As
cure
Americans,
can't be worse than the disease.
And that's what's happening.
Because, people are looking at it, I feel like, through a moral lens instead of a business economic lens.
But it's not a moral lens, even if it's like, I'm going to give you something so you never learn how to fish and live on your own. That is more immoral than me just saying, I feel bad.
More stuff of this white guilt and all.
No, but it's false. It's false morality.
Victimhood.
Yeah, it's all false morality.
Yeah, but isn't it just basically coming down Democrats just buying the black vote?
With reparations. As LeBron James is saying,
at this one time, that's exactly what it is.
They haven't been buying the black vote. They've been getting it for free.
Yeah.
Because what they've been buying.
Hey, and what did they?
Where the money been going? They've been getting it for free.
Preach, brother. Preach.
Hey.
Cool down, man.
He got that.
He got
real. He said bye. He said bye.
Lucas is preaching right now.
Maybe the only thing you can get back is that there's a layaway plan for all our votes they haven't paid for. I'd agree to that shit. I'd agree with them paying.
That is the best comment of the day, Lucas. Now go tie your shirt.
Wrap it in a bow. I'm done.
I am out. Some do mic drops, some do bow ties. That was good.
He like parachutes, man. Look at that thing. Show it off to the camera. Show it.
Look at that. He's ready to go.
Look at that.
Just in case he gets too high, we have to bring him down. If he gets too high, we have to bring him down. Slow him down, Lucas.
I see it like when I run.
The tassels. You get the tassels.
Why are you wearing that and running? That's what I'm wondering. What is that? Is not a running outfit. None of that says running.
You know when you got to break into a spray.
That's true.
Go, man.
It looks like a Portuguese man of war in Chicago.
Freaking awesome, man. Oh my god. Oh, y'all are clowns, man.
It's so crazy.
Y'all are clowns.
Gotta love it.
Oh man.
Okay, so you say
Chief
no
said
to that.
layaway.
So you say no, Siaka, just to
hell
put a no pun intended on it, just to wrap this up and put a bow tie on it. So you say categorically no to reparations.
Nope.
I want to say my reparations.
No reparations.
You want to know my?
Because I'll tell you. No, I'm breaking down even more why. Because how much do I get? I was born in this country, but my family's from Africa.
Well, no, that's why I was saying, couldn't you say that this is an argument of American descent?
Okay, then let me ask you this, then. How much do I owe, because my great-great-great-grandfather, guy I'm named after, was actually part of the Atlantic slave trade. He was one of the major suppliers. So how much do I owe? Does that count or does not count? Or is it only American? Is it only American white people?
I think if you
what?
show 3 paycheck stubs and
Break bread, chief. Break bread, chief. Break bread, chief.
Down is not just the skin color, and that's when you know it's a fake argument.
And that's why I want to say
because that's all they put it on. Because I found out.
And you know what? You know what? You have great points, and that's the reason why. Look. We black people, I understand the frustration, the moral argument, but we're already getting reparations. You want to know what it is?
Welfare.
The platinum plan.
The platinum plan.
You know what? Investing into the inner city. So you know what? Let's just stop the reparations. And let's just say we already got it now.
Yeah.
Build it.
Well, I would like to end my final thought on reparations with this. Like, so far, I have yet to hear a probable actual strategy plan laid out for reparations. But
what about UBI for the black community first?
Nope.
Well,
again,
who?
That's
still, I still haven't heard a solid plan.
No, universal basic income.
I know. For me or not?
No.
I'm trying to ask you. Am I okay? Because I'm only one generation here. Am I okay, or does that not count?
That's the thing. I haven't heard a
Well,
a
we'll
plan
just have like swatches.
But I'm
That's
open
why
for it.
We'll have like color swatches. It's like, you're smooth papaya. Okay, no, you only get
Does that not count? I'm closer to slave dark. Man, Luke is closer to that.
About me.
My man's Cuban.
I saw you coming. I saw you coming. I had to stop you right there. I saw I'm light skinned. Don't you dare call me Cuban. I saw you coming. I had to stop you in your tracks. Stop that.
Wait, didn't they want to give the blacks the vaccines first?
Yeah, that's been historic. Like,
they wanted to test it on
doctor
Africans
was actually
first.
saying that they should
the French
test
doctors
it in Africa first.
Where they had low numbers, and then there was a bunch
But that's
of.
not anything new. Most
they always try to do it.
pharmaceutical companies
Chief said
go to Africa.
I'm Cuban.
So I
He looks
definitely-
Cuban. You
I
ever seen those
agree with-
baseball players?
I agree with you, Siaka, that, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, so we'll stop talking about it, but I agree that it's difficult for me to see a system that really could be 100% fair. And once again, you get into the problem of it would create more problems maybe than it would solve. I could see that as an argument, but I definitely feel some kind of like our government majorly effed up on that one.
Get off our backs.
No, we
Stop
haven't heard
taxing
the right
us to
argument.
death.
That's it.
Stop
But
it.
you need
Let
it.
us
You
no.
need it because we say you need it,
That's
and we
what I mean.
think
That's
we're
it.
better,
But
and
that's
because
exactly
I actually think
liberalism.
Yeah, if
liberalism.
you give people the ability to just grow on their own,
Yes.
stop taxing them to death, stop making it hard for them to
Let me
live.
do me.
They
Conservatism.
can then develop this so the generational wealth.
You got it.
Within 2 generations. Right now, if every
Conservatism.
black person who had a kid today put their kid on their credit line, that alone,
Come
that
on.
kid at 18 would have an 800 credit and ready to go.
Yep.
You can get a loan
Yep.
from anybody like
Come
that.
on, bruh.
That's one generation.
Yes.
Today, if everyone
Yes.
did it on Sunday.
Yes.
Now what? Credit, 800 score,
Boom.
ready to go. But they
but-
don't talk about that. They talk about
But
what free
also,
shit can we give people.
If you're
Exactly.
saying, if Kick is saying that, well, we already got reparations and it's the platinum plan,
I'm saying
it doesn't seem that you're saying no to some kind of governmental program based
no,
upon.
but it's still based
we
on
need
work.
to build up. No,
Exactly.
That's not based on just because your skin
we
color.
need to hear the
Between
right
the
argument.
platinum
We
plan
have
and
yet to hear the
welfare.
right argument.
Yep.
for it.
We haven't heard the right part of it.
I'm saying that
He said investment. He didn't say give.
Right. Exactly.
Yes,
Big
exactly,
difference.
exactly. I'm saying that
Oh,
since
well,
we have been
Democrats
disproportionate.
use the word investment all the time.
When? Tell me when.
When
Make
they
a
want to
statement.
spend lots
No,
of money.
Make a statement. Please make a statement because I want to say. Make a statement.
For example, they'll say, well, we need to invest in solar energy infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right.
How does that look
Or
right
in
now?
the Green New Deal.
How does that look?
Blackouts.
I'm not saying it works out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it gets us votes.
We say
in the
more
short term.
money. We always say more money. They say invest every once in a while. I usually hear more money. I never hear invest as much as, but I do hear a little bit. I'll give you that. Not as much as I hear we need more money.
flip-flop.
They always say more money. They're always talking about more money.
Because I've noticed the new sneaky back door into getting these big, huge behemoth government programs in place is calling them investments.
Of course.
And
You know what
green
I'm saying?
investments
It sounds
too.
good.
Yeah.
Green is a
Green
good
sounds
one.
really good. Yeah,
That's like literally
it's a
money
code
investment.
word. It's a great code
It's a
word. We all like
euphemism.
green.
That's all it
We
is.
all like green,
Yeah.
but let's tax all you guys
would
because of
that
the
be
air that
a
you breathe.
Dog whistle, dare I say?
Oh. You should have a bell for every time a dog whistle is called out.
No. What we need is one of those clown horns.
Dog whistle.
I'm telling you, it's so stupid.
I love
man.
the fact that Joe Biden denounced the Green New Deal.
And then said, like a sentence later, he was like, "Well, no, the Green New Deal actually is." I was like, "Wait, either denounce it or it is one."
Dementia.
Brought it up, and then he tore it down.
And then brought it back up.
Dementia.
What he's for.
Dementia.
He said like 5 different things on different topics within the past several months.
Exactly.
It's
Okay.
The few times we ever heard of him.
So to
Heard
wrap
from
this
him.
up, Siaka, you said that you were terrorized by some
Oh,
papaya
Greg.
supremacists.
First of all, I wasn't
Right.
terrorized because he didn't
No,
scare
you
me.
are a victim.
No, he didn't
And
scare me because
No,
he
come
was.
to the office. Show us
I'm a
your
victim.
paycheck.
I'm not a victim.
Victor.
I'm a
was
victim.
approached
There
by
you go.
an asshole.
I'm proud. Yeah, you like that. No, this guy, I'm sitting there. I'm just minding my own damn business, rocking out to something I can't remember. But this dude is a Hispanic cat driving a Prius and looks
Well,
like.
enough there. He was
There it
driving
is.
a Prius.
Yeah. And then like he's
We
like
know who
kinda
you
like,
are.
already
We
know
know
who
and
you
also,
are.
you know that like I don't know what it is. It's like when I see people who are a little heavier set leaning back driving, I'm like, you just driving lazy too. Like shit, it's driving. You know what I mean? Sit up. We got shit 10 and 2. What's going on? You're on the highway, motherfuckers are leaning back. I'm like, you do everything lazy.
It's a lazy life. Huh?
Just feet. Literally, usually it's all just this. That's it. Anyway, so
Even
this guy.
you drive lazy. I mean,
Like, that
damn.
shit blows my mind. Sit up, but then like, so he says something. I go, oh, what? I thought he was kind of being like, it's cool, right? You know, because that's all. Honestly, I've been getting nothing but positivity, positive reactions wearing that. And so then he goes, oh,
Go
I
to
didn't-
Whole Foods and watch that change.
Yeah, well, I don't go to Whole Foods. I don't stand in line for like $20 sandwich wraps. It's ridiculous.
Audacity, though.
All day, you're right? With a
You ain't
straight
lying.
face, you're like, you're like 42.50
What?
for some bananas.
For a bite?
That's
All right.
So anyway, as you were saying,
That is Gelson's. Yeah, you're right. So you sit there, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know there was that many black conservatives in LA." I was like, "Oh yeah, man, there's a bunch of us, man. You should check out the rallies we go to and stuff." He goes, "Well, you must be the token."
Racist.
And then womp. So I was like, oh.
you have
I was
it.
like, whoa. So you think all black people just should think the same, huh? So I was like, wow, that's racist. Huh? He goes, no, you're just a token. I was like, no, you're racist, and it sucks because you're a minority being racist to other minorities, and I drive off because the Prius doesn't have too much of a pickup. I didn't have to put my foot down, and he was driving lazy fat. He's driving lazy fat. You can't be lazy fat and drive.
And again, that's just the
But we drive
example.
off, and it's like, look. And I thought about it. I didn't go, yo, what up?
Yeah.
He came at me.
He came at you.
But
He
the
came at me.
interesting thing, people don't even realize that, right? It was this study done on YouTube, and this guy, he goes to college campuses and he's comparing the ideology between white liberals and white supremacists. So he's literally on a modern day college campus in 2020 in a major city, and he's asking random passerbys that are young white students.
Are we surprised by the
asking
results?
them about, hey, would you support if the school and black students wanted to have black students in their own separate housing and like dormitories?
Segregation?
And every single white student said, yeah, I mean,
course.
if they would be more comfortable, I would support them having their own housing. So the interviewer was like, so you would support segregated dormitories for blacks and whites? And they, I mean, I think they should have their own space.
Of course.
Then he goes to a ranch of a white supremacist group. They got the trucks, the flags, all
They're
of that.
ready
And
to
he
go.
asked them the same things, and their answers were the same. Well, yeah, we definitely support segregation, and they should have their own housing, and we have our own housing. What's wrong with that?
Yep.
They all said the same thing.
There's a YouTube video just like that where they have a person with a woke shirt on, and they have another person.
Oh,
with
it's
a,
Ryan Long.
Like-
when white supremacists and
Yes.
woke liberals
Yes.
say the exact same
thing.
thing.
Ryan
Right.
Long.
And there you
Ryan
have it.
Long. He has the most hilarious
Is he a
video.
Jewish cat?
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's the guy.
Tall, like dark hair.
And he does like on the street.
He's
this
a
was
comedian.
actual
Okay,
skit.
right now, the three most important comedians of 2020 are Dave Chappelle because he saved comedy.
Yeah.
All right, no matter what you say,
And
that cat
he saved comedy and he kicked his PC stuff in the face.
PC
Get
out.
he should
Get
have
out.
been
Right.
Get out.
political in
Get out.
in
Get out.
So the
The
most
last one.
important
Mhm.
comedians of 2020 are first Dave Chappelle because he saved comedy. Second, Ryan Long. Okay, Ryan Long is taking the bull barehanded by the horns.
Really?
And whether
Fantastic.
it's political correctness, feminism, transgender theory, and gender assumptions, Zims, all that stuff, he has taken that bull by the horns and wrestling it to the ground and straight up hog tying it in the most funny way you ever heard possible. He's vulgar as hell, but also funny as hell, so we let him get away with it. And I have my children watch it regularly. No, I'm kidding.
There you have it.
No, I'm just kidding. But the third one,
Every
Andrew
Thursday.
Schultz. Andrew Schultz, by far. You got to watch these cats.
Now I got something to do
And
this
Ryan
tonight
Long's
after the
best
show.
piece.
Some homework to do.
Ryan Long's best piece is literally he takes all of the woke phrases.
Yes.
And then literally takes the white supremacist phrases. Did you see that Richard Spencer retweeted that blue checkmark person that said, so all of these white people who are civilizing all of these black children who
one that
need
wrote
to
the
learn
book.
the proper ways of living.
The one that wrote the book on anti-racism.
Yeah, the
Yes.
one that wrote the book on anti-racism, talking about
yeah.
white children or white parents doing transracial adoptions.
On the judge.
It's really
The judge.
just
The
them
judge.
Amy Coleman,
fetishizing these young children and civilizing them, and literally
Savage
Richard,
children. Savage children.
Savage
Yes,
children.
yeah, exactly.
Savage
Yes.
children.
And I don't know if this was like straight
This
up
shit
just
makes
one
me
of
want to
those-
just like not your space, but just destroy a space and scream. Like seriously though, like there's kids that don't have a
They
parent.
rooms for that though, where you can
Yeah,
put
no,
on
they-
goggles,
yeah.
and break glass, and
Yes,
I'm
punch
gonna
Safe
do it
space.
because I mean
and
we have
punch
these
shit.
kids that
And
need.
Sometimes you gotta punch shit.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Dude,
We know you're for that. We know you're for that. Don't do it. Please don't.
Yeah.
Fine. We don't want another earthquake.
It's like, yo, dude, these kids need homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're more worried about this. Is again
Yeah.
goes back to that guy with the semantics thing. You got to be done with these fools. They're more worried about it feeling better for their ears than actually real stuff that move the needle. They don't care about people. I say this to my mom. Anyone who wants to listen,
they don't.
the left does not care about people at all.
Preach.
That's real.
Preach.
Pisses me off.
Amen.
That's why they like Barack Obama more than Trump, because of
because he
way
makes him
Barack
feel
Obama
good.
He makes him
He's
feel
smooth.
good.
He was the
He's
ultimate-
cool.
he was
Yeah.
the
He's
He's
cool.
the better male.
The ultimate
Come
pimp.
on.
And
He
because
told
he's
us
the
everything
better
we
male.
wanted.
Because he's a better,
He
he's a
goes
better.
along with
He was
things.
soft. He was like, and then let me. I want to toss this out to the black community. Why weren't we so upset that the one black president in the history of this country did not nominate one black person for the Supreme Court? If we want representation so
But
much,
he nominated Kamala as the AG,
the Attorney General.
in
Still.
California.
Of the
Because
Indian-
he's part of the agenda.
I know, but
So
what
a lot
I'm
of
saying
black
is, if
people
you really look at anything, the Supreme Court's for life. If you want real power,
Thank you.
so but he didn't nominate one person, but he got all the women stuff because the first thing he did was sign that wage gap bullshit that was
And the
already been
gender
debunked.
bathroom stuff.
Bathroom
Yeah,
stuff, and you're
buddy.
like, but you won't nominate one black person
Come
There
on.
you have it.
that will be on the court forever.
There it is.
Right. So we got to wrap it up right there, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Well, there's no
Yeah.
sisters.
Just
right
brothers
now.
now. We
So,
know who we
yeah,
are.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hey man, I'm
Some
hold
sisters
on.
in the audience. So
I'm a man.
I'm
I'm 40, depending on what day it is. You know how they do it.
All right. So what's the name of our show?
You ain't black.
You ain't black.
And you ain't black.